In our series about what matters to you at this election, tonight we're looking at the environment. Green industries are worth billions of pounds to the economy and could provide thousands of jobs for people in this region.
Already the East is at the forefront of an expansion of offshore wind power. But what are the main party's green credentials? Labour says it will create 400,000 new green jobs by 2020. By then it wants to achieve 40% low-carbon electricity. And it proposes pay-as-you-save home insulation. The Conservatives pledged to expand offshore wind and marine power, and they say they will transform electricity networks with new smart grid and smart meter technology. They also want to reform the common fisheries policy. The Lib Dems would also introduce smart metering within 5 years. They want 40% of electricity to come from renewables by 2020 and more investment in public transport to cut emissions. So tonight's big question is, which party will deliver a greener future?
They're the future generation, and they think differently when it comes to environmental issues.
At school, the last person out turns the lights off.
I think that we fly around the earth a lot, and I think that that's preventable.
They go by car when they could walk.
The popularity of allotments has soared, but in Norwich they're thinking bigger still. Soon 4 acres of farmland will be rented to grow vegetables for a box scheme with up to 200 members. We've changed quite a bit in recent years. We do now recycle a lot more, up to 50% of household rubbish in places. And we've also gone some way to improving the insulation in our homes. But there's one big issue that all the main political parties have failed to grasp. And that is, where in future will our electricity come from? This region's already at the forefront of plans to expand offshore wind power, and we could get 2 new nuclear power stations too, one at Sizewell in Suffolk, the other at Bradwell in Essex. But that altogether simply won't be enough. Electricity consumption is forecast to increase towards 2020. Nuclear generation is in decline. So is coal. Renewables are slowly increasing, but it's foreign imported gas that will fill the gap. So where does that leave the Green Party? It would phase out nuclear power.
We also need to look at investment on a large scale in the kind of European schemes that people have been talking about to, for instance, generate large volumes of solar power in Africa and ship that through high voltage lines to Europe and to England.
Keith Tovey specialises in energy analysis. He believes radical decisions were needed long ago.
We're now using far more gas than we're producing, and we're importing it from countries like Russia and the Middle East, and that doesn't lead to an energy secure future.
So how do you rate the party's manifesto statements?
5 out of 10 for Labour. They haven't met their renewable targets. 6 out of 10 for the Conservatives. A much better manifesto. But Liberal Dems, I give 7 out of 10. They have the best policies for the long term, but they'll never meet them by 2020.
The political parties freely set targets, but all too often they fail to meet them. For the next generation, that could mean yet more tougher choices. Richard Daniel, BBC Look East.
The cricket season started just over a week ago, and the fixture lists are bulging with short forms of the game, like 2020, which are over in a matter of hours.
Now, it may not be for the purists, but it is bringing in more fans. A record number of people have watched both Essex and Northants play 2020 games. But is it the beginning of the end for the county championship?
It's only 8 years old, but 2020 has hit cricket for 6. It's just 20 overs per side, so the name of the game is to get lots of runs really quickly. It's less chess and more hungry hippos. 2020 is played at night, hence the pyjamas, and it brings the crowds in. Essex and Northants get gates of around 6,000. It's effectively subsidising the county championship. But here's a note of caution.
I've noticed things in the past in life come in, be very big and get very big very quickly, and it's a bit like a comet. It can, just as quickly as it comes along and as big as it is, it can fade out. So I think it's essential that we keep the game there that's been established for over 100 odd years, make sure that that's healthy, make sure that's strong, because it may have to fall back onto that.
Essex get an average of 1,200 spectators for county games, lots of empty seats, but like Northants, they see it as their national duty. Playing 4-day games prepares players for Test cricket. It's a vital part of the supply chain, one they believe should carry a preservation order.
We increasingly focus on our Championship cricket. We value that highly. It's very important to the club. We also take our responsibilities in terms of developing the next generation of England cricketers very seriously as well. But from a local point of view, there's no question that 2020 is absolutely crucial to us from a financial perspective.
Only 20% of the county championship regulars go to 2020 matches. So that means 2020 is bringing new fans to the sport. The trick now is to persuade them to watch some county championship matches too. Sean Peel, BBC Look East.
Back to our top story now, the situation regarding flights in and out of our region. Let's go back to our chief reporter, Kim Riley, at Stansted for the very latest. Kim.
There had been hopes that by now some flights would have been operating. This is the latest picture at Stansted Airport. The airport closed until further notice. At Luton, no flights until at least 1 a.m. tomorrow morning. And at Norwich, no flights before 5 a.m. at the earliest. We're expecting a further update from the National Air Traffic Service at around 9 o'clock tonight. Key information from the airport. If you want the very latest information, go direct to your airline websites. They'll have the full picture.
Kim, thank you very much.
Nice and sunny, but overcoat weather at Stansted.
It looks that way, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
I was there in the 76 drought, and it certainly wasn't overcoat weather.
I'm too young to remember it, of course.
That's all from us. Goodbye.
Goodbye.